Good day everyone, this is Daisy Enriquez. Today I will be discussing about Reading 6, the story of Father Anthony Hofstee, Filipino values and Filipino moral ideal. Without further ado, let's get started. Reverend Father Anthony Hofstee is a Dominican priest who landed in the Philippines with U.S. Marines in World War II. He has died and been buried among the people he dedicated his life, which is the lepers. Captain Anthony Hofstee, like hundreds of American soldiers who liberated in the Philippines from Japanese occupation in 1945, fell in love with the country and its people and decided to stay. But no ordinary soldier, he felt no ordinary love at the people he settled down to serve were no ordinary people. They were lepers living in Tala Leprosarium outside Manila. Father Hofstee requested release from the Captain Corps when he realized his place with these victims of Hansen's or leprosy disease. Affectionately known as Father Leo, he spent 41 years with his special charges before dying April 24, 1986 at the age of 82. Father Hofstee exemplified the human values of generosity for his willingness to give and provide, selflessness for his tender care for others, responsibility for consistently doing his duties, faith for he trusts himself unto the Lord's hands, hope for he does not give up, and lastly, unconditional love to God and to the lepers, which all fall under moral values. Biological and social values were also shown. These are when Father Hofstee provided food and service for the lepers and treated them like family, making a shelter a home. Father Hofstee had shown a lot of values which makes him an ideal model of a great priest. Heroism is when a person depicts bravery and selflessness in his or her noble life. As for Father Hofstee's heroism, it consists of his initiative to prioritize others before oneself, acts of genuine kindness and affection, courage to fulfill the responsibilities till the very end, and the determination to be committed in his service constantly without any doubts and reluctance. He volunteers himself without any expected returns and does his best efforts without the need for reasons. He does things because he wanted to, and he believes that it is what they deserve. Indeed, these are what make one a true hero. Just like Father Hofstee, we should do good deeds without expecting a reward. We must act accordingly, do and choose the right decisions, not because of the benefits it may give back, but because that is how it should be. When we help, we just help with our utmost best. There should not be a motive hidden in our actions, for it will taint the purity of our will. But if I'm being honest, temptations and expectations are certain, for we are humans with imperfections. Yes, corrupted intentions will always appear. The first step in applying the lesson that I've stated is to sway these thoughts away. Because Father Hofstee is generous to the lepers, he is rewarded with love. Personally, I think to be loved back by their own choice is a wonderful reward one could be proud of to receive. Father Hofstee is loved, respected, thanked, and is seen as a hero. Those emotions that the lepers showed symbolize their gratitude. It may just be mere feelings of affection for others, but that itself a great blessing that makes everything worth it. Father Hofstee did not care about power, wealth, nor fame. All he cares about is the welfare of the lepers. He serves and takes care of them because he wanted to, not because of the benefits thereafter. His attitude for earthly honors can be described with the term unsolicited. Sow a seed of kindness and you will reap kindness in return. There are moments in our lives where we can help and ask help from others. The reading entitled The Story of Father Anthony Hofstee clearly shows this act. We can never predict what will be going to happen at times. No man is an island, and no man can stand alone without asking help from others. We need each other in order to survive in this world that is full of challenges and hardships. Hence, what you do to others will be done unto you. When you do good to others, then as a Filipino value of having an utang na loob, the person that you had helped will also in return help us. Even so, it is wrong to do bad for those persons who had done bad to us, but rather we should always be good all the times. We should reciprocate a bad thing that was done by another bad thing. As an experience to this, I've been into such situation quite often. When I do good to others, I always think that I do not want to expect something good as a payment for what I've done. But there are really people that are naturally good, that they're really going to repay you for what you did to them. On the contrary, there are also persons that don't pay back on something good that was done to them, but expecting something in return shouldn't be a thing to each of us, but rather help others without having to assume something. That is what helping is all about. That is when being morally mature takes place. From helping people will eventually know you and recognize you, even if you help them for just very simple things. The little things could always mean a lot to them. I hope that I can live with the life that Father Anthony Hofstee is observing. I want to be a person that does not boast on things about them, but rather stays humble despite the fact that they had helped others. I want to help not to gain popularity, but to gain merit from God. What's important above everything is that you offering everything that you have done to God. What's important is that God sees your doings and not necessarily that everybody knows. Values are an integral part of every culture. With worldview and personality, they generate behavior. Being part of a culture that shares a common core set of values creates expectations and predictability without which a culture would disintegrate and its member would lose their personal identity and sense of worth. Values tell people what is good, beneficial, important, useful, beautiful, desirable, constructive, etc. They answer the question of why people do what they do. Values help people solve common problems for survival. Over time, they become the roots of traditions that group of people find important in their day-to-day lives. Filipino values may be attributed into many influences. This can be from its ancestors or influence from its colonizers. Some values are bipolar, meaning it can be positive or negative. Bayanihan system or spirit of kinship and camaraderie. A Filipino community spirit and cooperation wherein a group of individuals extends a helping hand without expecting any remuneration. It is characterized by communal work towards one goal, exemplified in carrying a nipa house or pushing a passenger jeepney. Damayan system, sympathy for people who lose their loved ones in case of death of a certain member of the community. The whole community sympathizes with the bereaved family. Neighbors, friends, and relatives of the deceased usually give certain amount of money as their way of showing sympathy. Familism or close family relations. A Filipino trait of giving highest importance to family above other things, a trait wherein family members should be taken care and supported regardless of whether he or she did something wrong. A family member must be given attention and should not be abandoned. Fun-loving trait, a trait found in most Filipinos, a trait that makes them unique that even in time of calamities and other challenges in life, they always have something to be happy about, a reason to celebrate. Hospitality, a Filipino trait of being receptive and generous to guests. Compassionate, a Filipino trait of being sympathetic to others even if the person is a stranger. An example of this is giving alms to a beggar. This is observed when we hear Filipinos saying, "Kawawa naman" or "nakakaawa naman." Regionalism, a Filipino trait of giving more priority or preference in giving favors to his province mate before others. Friendly, a trait found in most Filipinos. They are sincere, loyal, kind, and sociable person. Flexible or magaling makibagay, the ability of Filipinos to ride on or adjust to the norms of other group just to attain smooth and harmonious relationship. Example, OFW. Religious. Most Filipinos possess strong conformance of their religious beliefs in action and in words. Respect to elders. A Filipino trait of being courteous both in words and in actions to the people of older people. Remedio attitude, a Filipino trait of being creative and resourceful, the ability to do things that are next to impossible. Example, in fixing appliances that look impossible to repair. Matiyaga, Filipinos renowned for their tenacity and strong determination in every undertaking. Utang na loob, a feeling of obligation to repay someone who extended assistance to another, which may take place in undetermined time in whatever way. Bahala na attitude, a Filipino trait characterized by retreating or withdrawal from certain undertaking and leaving everything to God, to interfere and determine the outcome of his deeds. Colonial complex or blue seal mentality, a Filipino value of showing high admiration and preference to foreign-produced goods over local ones. Crab mentality, a Filipino attitude characterized by an attempt to pull down someone who has achieved success beyond the others. This is done out of jealousy and insecurity. Euphemism, a Filipino way of substituting a word or phrase that is thought to be offensive or harsh with a mild and acceptable one in order to not offend or hurt another person. Filipino time, in reality, it means always late, a Filipino attitude of impreciseness towards time. Gaya-gaya attitude, a Filipino attitude of imitating or copying other cultures, specifically in mode of dressing, language, fashion, or even haircut. Jackpot mentality, a get-rich-quick mentality of some Filipinos who would rather engage in fast ways of acquiring money than through hard work and sacrifice by getting in lottery, joining raffle draws, and other. Kapalaran values, a Filipino trait of accepting his fate by believing that everything is written in his palm. Such traits contributes to lack initiative and perseverance among Filipinos. Mañana habit, delaying or setting aside a certain task assigned on the next day, although it can be done today. Ningas kugon, being enthusiastic only during the start of new undertaking but ends dismally in accomplishing nothing. A common practice observed in some politicians who are visible only during the start of certain endeavor. Oversensitive. Filipinos have the tendency to be irritated easily or hurt upon hearing some criticisms or comment. Lack of sportsmanship. not accepting defeat in competitions but rather putting the blame either to their opponents or to the sport officials. Pakikisama, submitting oneself to the will of the group for the sake of the camaraderie and unity. Failure to comply with the group demand, the person will be called walang pakikisama or selfish. The adherence to group demands have taught our young to engage in bad habits like smoking, alcoholism, and even drug addiction. Chambalang attitude, simplicity by declaring that his or her accomplishments are result of luck and not from perseverance and ability.